All right, we're going to get ready and start in just a minute. All right, let's get this road on the show. Good evening, everyone. My name is JD Wyzolek, and I am the founder of azcollegeplan.com. And uh, I've been in this space since August of 2007. And I like to call this talk You Don't Know What You Don't Know About College, but you really need to know about college, or how to not go broke paying for college. You're probably familiar with the ranking systems, and there's I don't know, a dozen or so different publications that have these college rankings. Money Magazine has the best colleges. Forbes Magazine has the best colleges. Probably the most prevalent one is U.S. News and World Report Best Colleges. And you've probably heard this college is ranked number one in biology, or this college is ranked number 17 in engineering, or so. The college ranking system is extremely very important to colleges. So let me explain why. Have you asked yourself, why would a college give out a scholarship? Is it because they're kind and generous, or is it because they want or need a specific student? Colleges ask questions of every applicant. And one of the many questions that they ask is, how is this student going to impact our rankings? Is it going to be positive, neutral, or negative? If it's negative, they're just going to reject that student. If it's neutral, maybe we'll admit the student, maybe we'll give them a teaser, a dollar scholarship, or something like that. But if it's positive, they're going to bend over backwards and try and recruit that student. Okay. So I want to give you an example of that. Whenever there is an upward trend in any category that's ranked, that the college values, that's ranked, that attracts more attention. And more attention means more applications and more application fees. I love the rivalries that go on between certain colleges, ASU and U of A, or UCLA and Berkeley. I just love those rivalries that go on. And if you can mute yourself, that would be appreciated. Thank you. This last year, UCLA knocked Berkeley off the podium and became the number one public national university. Because of that, UCLA had 149,000 students apply for 6,000 freshman seats, and it costs $80 to apply. So when you do the math, 145,000 times $80, that's $11.6 million that was generated just in application fees. So a college is willing to give out some scholarships knowing that they're going to make it up on the back end. So let me give you a story about that. And this is Lynn. When Lynn came into the office for the free consultation, Lynn and her dad came in, and I asked a couple of questions. And I asked Lynn, do you have any colleges that you're thinking about? Do you have any dream schools? And Lynn's dad piped up and said she's going to go to NAU because that's all I can afford. And I said, play the game. And playing the college admission game is applying to somewhere between 6 and 15 colleges. If a student applies to too many, then the college isn't going to admit them. I'll talk about that in a moment. And we don't want to apply to too few. Well, when Lynn and her dad came in, and dad says she's going to go to NAU because that's all I can afford, I said, play the game. And we helped Lynn identify some colleges. And I can't remember how many colleges she applied to. I think it was 7 colleges. And of the 7, she was admitted to 5 of them. And then 2 of the colleges fell off the wayside for one reason or another. And it came down to these 3 colleges: Willamette University in Oregon, Whitman College in the state of Washington, and Northern Arizona, NAU. And we helped her with her essays. We helped her with her applications. We showed her how to properly market herself to those colleges, so those colleges would look at her and say, yes, we need this student to come to our college because she'll have a positive impact on our rankings. And the first college that admitted her was Willamette University. And Willamette gave her $25,500 in scholarships per year. Lynn was on cloud 9 for days. Dad, not quite so much, because there was still a $20,000 gap. The next college that admitted her was NAU, and Dad's net cost was $10,650 per year. And Dad says I could do that. I'd rather not, but I could do that. And then the last college that admitted her was Whitman College in the state of Washington. And they offered her $40,750 in scholarships per year. And Dad's net cost was $5,000. So here's the question. Why did they give her that amazing scholarship package? It's because that the college needed her. She had a positive impact on one or more of the rankings that the college valued. Yes, she had good grades and had some decent test scores. However, one of the categories was a girl going into a mostly male-dominated major. And they're like, oh, yeah, we like that. Don't ask me which one it was. I don't remember off the top of my head. Another category was Arizona kid going to this college in the state of Washington. So now that college can go back to the publications and say, we have geographic diversity. We've got kids from here, there, all over. We've got kids from Arizona. Yay. We've got them all over the place. So the question we've got to ask the college is, what does that college value? And then do that. If the college does not value it, then of course, don't do it. In the case study of Lynn, we instructed her with her activities, what types of clubs and hobbies she should be involved with and focus on, what colleges to apply to, and how to properly showcase herself to those colleges through demonstrated interest, and what to write in her essays, and how to follow up. She did all of those things that those colleges valued, and that's the reason why she got that amazing scholarship package. So the results was amazing, and I've got a lot more examples of that. And now I'm really excited to announce that it is Dr. Lynn. She finished up her doctorate degree. We're going to learn several acronyms today. The first one is COA, or cost of attendance. And the cost of attendance includes tuition, fees, lab fees, books, ID, student ID card, parking pass, meal plan, and more. Do you know what the parking pass fee is at ASU? Look it up. Go onto Google and type in ASU student parking pass fee. It's ridiculous how much it costs. So what is the cost of attendance? It incorporates everything: tuition, room and board, meal plan, books, fees, parking pass, all of that together. What is that cost? And the cost for ASU for 1 year is $37,000. Now, if you're looking at NAU or U of A, they're all about the same cost at about $37,000. Now, if your student is interested in the honors college, so U of A honors, NAU honors, or ASU Barrett Honors College, you can add some dollars on top of that. Now you're looking at about $39,000 per year. If you haven't visited some colleges, please go visit some colleges that are in your area. So if you live in the greater Maricopa County area, go visit these three schools. Go visit Arizona State University. Go visit Grand Canyon. Go visit Arizona Christian University. The reason why I'm encouraging you to go and visit these three colleges is because it's not a big time or money commitment. 30 minutes, maybe a 45-minute drive to any one of these campuses and a couple hours on the tour. So not a big time or money commitment. And then there are three very different types of colleges. ASU is a large public school. In fact, ASU is the biggest college in the United States with hovering around 90,000 students. Grand Canyon University is a mid-sized private university, and Arizona Christian University is a small private college. When you visit Arizona Christian University, look at it through two lenses. The first lens is the size of the school, and it's about 1,000 students. So that's the first lens to look at, is the size. And then the second lens to look at it is through the religious lens. Because it is religiously affiliated, there are some religious requirements for students who attend that college. So the reason why I'm asking you to go visit these three schools is the three very different types of colleges, and it's not a big time or money commitment. So that when you do go to Chicago and you visit University of Chicago, or you go visit Chicago Hollywood College, or you visit DePaul or any of those other colleges in the greater Chicago area, or you go visit some colleges in Florida or in San Diego, now you've got something you can weigh, balance, compare, and contrast. When you visit a college and you're talking to the recruiter and you've gone on that tour, at the end of that, if you're not impressed and walk away with the impression of, wow, that school's amazing, I want to go there, know that they did a bad job. That is their job, and that is to impress you, to get you to choose to attend their college. One of the categories that's ranked that I think is one of the most silly rankings is most expensive college. And Harvey Mudd College in Los Angeles is ranked as one of the most expensive colleges at $98,900 per year. Multiply that times 4 years, you're looking at $400,000. NYU is hovering around $96,000, and UCLA for out-of-state costs is about $80,000 per year. If you really want to scare yourself, do this. Go to the college's website, and in the search bar, type in cost of attendance, and it'll bring you to that page. Sometimes the numbers aren't added, add all those numbers together, and then multiply that times 4 years, and then multiply it again times the number of kids you've got, 2 kids, 3 kids, etc. That's enough to give anybody a coronary right there. And have you asked yourself, how are we going to be able to pay for it? And I've literally talked to thousands of families, and these are some of the strategies that they've told me as ways to pay for college. And these might be some things that you might be thinking about as well. And always the first one that comes up is private scholarships. My kid's going to get a private scholarship. So let's put a definition on what private scholarship means. It's a scholarship that your student applies for and then they win it. So if your student receives a letter or an email, and that letter or email says, congratulations, you've won this scholarship, they did not apply for it, scam. Especially if that letter says mail us $100 and will tell you which one you've won. That is definitely a scam. Now, of the $135 billion of aid that's available, less than 2% of that consists of private scholarships. Everybody wants to go after these pennies, and I want to go after the bulk of the money. And the bulk of the money is going to fall into 3 categories. So write these categories down. The first category is state funds. The second category is federal funds. State funds, federal funds. And the third category, which is the big kahuna of the three, and this is what I want to go after the most, is the college's endowment funds. If you want to do something that's super fun, go onto the internet, type in the name of the college and type in endowment fund and look to see what that number is. Harvard claims the number one spot as being the wealthiest college at $45 billion. That's with a B. $45 billion. The interest that account produces is enough to give every student who attends Harvard a full ride. Do they do that? Absolutely not. The next strategy as a way to pay for college that parents have told me is, my kid's an athlete. My kid's going to get an athletic scholarship. Now, I'm sorry to tell you this, that if your student is not the next NBA, not the next NFL, or not the next Olympian, the likelihood of getting a full athletic ride, probably not going to happen. Now, if you go to the NCAA's website and look up baseball, America's pastime, the average men's baseball scholarship is $13,000. Now, sometimes that $13,000 is divided between 2 or 3 or maybe even 4 different players. Now, how are we going to make 13 grand go where 40 should, or even 100 should? That's way short of the total cost of attendance. The two big moneymaker sports in college are football and basketball. So if your student is interested in those two sports, football, basketball, I would encourage them to consider that. The next strategy as a way to pay for college that parents have told me is savings. We've saved some money. Now, I read a statistic that the average family has saved $10,000 for college. Now, if you've saved that, or you've saved more than that, then God bless you, you're better than the average. Now the question is, of that $10,000 that you did save, how are we going to stretch that to 40 or 100,000 or even 400,000? The next question is, the money that you did save, how does the financial aid system look at it? And there are 3 buckets of money. The first bucket of money is money that's in the student's name, and that gets assessed at the highest percentage, anywhere from 20 to 25%. So that's the first bucket, student. The second bucket is money that's in the parent's name, and that gets assessed at about 6%. It's like 5.68%. We'll round it up to 6%. It's just easier numbers. So sometimes just by rolling over who the owner is, no, the student's not the owner of this financial product. The parent is the owner of this financial product. You might be able to qualify for more need-based financial aid. Then there's a third bucket, and that bucket has an umbrella over it, and that umbrella is the retirement system. And anything that isn't in that bucket is not assessed in the financial aid system. So 401ks, IRAs, Roths, those types of things are not reported on the financial aid forms. But JD, we have a 529. What about that? 529s are considered an asset of the parent. JD, thank you for telling me that because we do have a 529, and because it's a parent asset, it gets assessed at 6%. That is all true. However, as soon as you expose to a college, I have a 529, the college is going to go, tag, that's my money, I want it, and they're going to split it into quarters. 25% the freshman year, 25% the sophomore year, et cetera, et cetera. I had a family who had $40,000 saved up in a 529. And as soon as they exposed that to the college reduced the aid package by $10,000 per year. So sometimes by rolling over who the owner is or from one financial product to a different financial product, we might be able to qualify for more need-based financial aid. Here's my disclaimer. Before you move money around or any of that stuff, you need to know what the ramifications are, both positive and negative. Sometimes it's smart to move money, other times it's not. Each family situation is unique and different. If you want to come in and talk about that specifically in the free consultation, I'll be happy to address that. The next strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is pay as you go. A lot of colleges are starting to offer a payment plan. Last time I looked at La Sierra University in Riverside, California, they had a payment plan and it was $75 a month on top of whatever the payment was. Typically, a college is going to want a full semester paid up front. The next strategy that parents have told me as a way to pay for college is we're going to borrow the money. And there is a loan out there called the PLUS loan, PLUS. It stands for Parent Loan of Undergraduate Students. And it used to be that you could borrow up to 100% of the cost of attendance on a Parent Plus loan. So if a student was admitted to Harvey Mudd at $99,000 per year, and Harvey Mudd did not offer any scholarships at all, it could offer the parent a $99,000 loan for that student to attend for 1 year. Now, with the new One Big Beautiful Bill, there is a new cap, and the new cap is $25,000 per year with a maximum of about $65,000. What I don't know is when that will go in effect. I've heard different things. I've heard that it might go into effect this June or July. I've heard it might go into effect in a couple of years. I'm definitely keeping my eye on the pulse on that. Okay. One of my families came in for a free consultation and hired us, and they wanted to know what the heck they were about to sign for. And some colleges are devious in their wording on the award letter. When your student applies to a college, your student will get a letter or an email with instructions on how to set up their student portal. Please do that and log into the student portal regularly and check your status. When you log into the student portal, it'll tell you transcripts have been received. It'll tell you recommendation letters are pending or received. And whatever is in there, please give the college whatever information it is that they're asking for. After you apply to the college and set up your student portal, you'll get a notification from the college that says, congratulations, you're admitted, or you're not admitted. If it's not admitted, then that's the end of the story, but not really. I've had some students go back and appeal no admission and actually get admitted. I can talk about that at a different time. Once you get the acceptance letter, several weeks later, or maybe even several months later, you'll get another notification from the college that's called the award letter. And the award letter reads like an invoice, and it's going to state, this is what we're giving you in scholarships, this is what we're giving you in grants, this is what we're giving you in, etc. So this family came in for the free consultation, and they wanted to know what the heck they were about to sign for, because the award letter said $25,000 PLUS. And they were like, woo, we got a $25,000 scholarship, hooray. And I had to tell them, I'm sorry, no, that is not a scholarship, that is a loan. And I'm happy to report they didn't go that route. If you go to my website, click on testimonials, there's a testimonial from Courtney's mom who states that she attended a private college, and Courtney graduated 100% debt-free, and the parents did not take on any educational loans either. So yes, it can be done. The next way to pay for college that some parents have told me is we're going to borrow the money from, or we're going to borrow the money with a home equity line. I won't go into all the details on that. You guys know what that is. And then the last strategy as a way to pay for college is liquidate retirement accounts. Please don't do that. But this is some of the things that parents have told me as ways to pay for college. Retirement accounts should be for, as it states, retirement accounts. Please don't throw out a college based solely on the sticker price of the college. When you look at a school like Pepperdine in Malibu, California, yes, I want to live there. And if you're one of the lucky ones, your dorm room overlooks the ocean. Yes, I want to live there. One of the PE classes that's available at Pepperdine is surfing. Yes, I want to live there. I want to take a surfing class and get college credit for that. When you look at a college like Pepperdine at $90,000 to $95,000 per year, a lot of families will look at that and go, no, we're don't even apply there because we can't afford that. First off, Pepperdine has $1 billion in their endowment fund. They've got a lot of money. And for certain students, they can be very generous. So don't throw out a college based on a sticker price. Why? Because private colleges know that they must compete with in-state costs. And if a college really wants a certain student, because that student will have a positive impact on their rankings, that college will make it feasible for your student to attend by offering scholarships. And I already gave you the example of Lynn. I'll give you a couple more examples as we progress through today's talk. This is where we at AZ College Planning excel, helping students and showing students how to properly present themselves to colleges so that the college says, yes, we need this student because this student will have a positive impact on our rankings. We'll give the student some scholarships to entice them to choose our college because we know that we'll make it up on the back end with application fees and all of that stuff. An important question to ask each of the colleges that your student is going to apply to is, what's the average timeline for students to graduate from your college? How long is it going to take my student, my kid, to graduate from your school? And astonishingly, the average graduation timeline at a public college is 6 years. 6 instead of 4. Because students, and here's the question, why is it taking the average student 6 years to graduate? If you go to my website, click on college results, type in the name of the college, you can see this information. And the average graduation timeline, 66% of the students are taking 6 years to graduate from ASU. And the question is why? One of the reasons is because a student applies to get into a class. I need to get into this 100 level class before I can get into the 150 or the 200 level class. And they try to get into that 100 level class and they can't because it's full. And if that class is not available to the next cycle, and that next cycle might be the next semester or worse, the next year, now they have to wait until that cycle comes back around before they can actually try and get into that class. With azcollegeplanning.com, we have a strategy that can help students get into those popular full classes. And I'll talk about that later on. That's one reason classes are full, why it takes students 6 years to graduate instead of 4. Another reason, and this is the most prevalent reason, is because students flip-flop between majors. This week, I'm going to be a business major. Oh no, architecture, that sounds really fun. And they go and they take an architecture class and like, I don't want to do that. Oh, philosophy, I love debating. I'll take a philosophy class. No, I'm back over here, I'm undeclared. Every time a student changes majors, that pushes the graduation window out further and further. So one of the things that we do at AZ College Planning is we can help students identify what major it is that they want to study so that when they do go to college, they're solidified. This is the direction I want to go into, and they graduate on time in 4 years or less. And we do that with our award-winning career assessment tool. We'll plug your student into that program. That career assessment tool asks questions. Do you like to do this? Do you like to do that? And based on how your student answers, it will generate a list of occupations. Then you click on the occupation and save that occupation. It'll generate a list of majors that support that occupation. You click on and save that major, and it will generate a list of colleges. And I will oversee that list of colleges, and I'll make my recommendations. These are the types of colleges that I think you should take a look at because A, it has the major that you want. That's the most important thing. Second thing is it has the programs that you want. Third is it has scholarship money, and you're probably going to get some scholarship money if you keep going the way that you're going with getting the best grades and the best test scores that you can. There are a lot of good career assessment tools that are available. The question that always comes up is, okay, now that I have this list of occupations, what do I do next? And that's something that we came up with a proprietary program on how to research any occupation. Go research these occupations and then come back and let's talk about it. I had a conversation with a student and she said, I want to be a stage designer. Awesome. That sounds fun. And I'm all, whatever your dream is, more power to you, go for it. So she said, I want to be a stage designer. I'm like, okay, go and research that. And I showed her how to research those things. A little while later, we had a follow-up conversation. And she says, I don't want to be a stage designer anymore. I'm like, well, why not? Because they only make $15 an hour, and I can make more than $15 an hour working at In-N-Out Burger. And they only work part-time, and I don't want to live in my parents' house the rest of my life. What we ended up doing was we ended up coming up with a different occupation and a different major that was still associated with the theater and film industry, in which she could get a job and have a decent lifestyle with that. Here's my story. That's me. That's my high school senior picture. I think I look about the same. Maybe not. So when I walked into my guidance counselor's office, her tiny office, I still remember it today, with a little window in the very back. I think it was probably a broom closet or something like that. I walked in there, hi, Miss Nuss. And she says, hi, JD, how are you? I'm good. And she says, JD, you're a good artist. You should be an art major. Okay, next. And that's how much time I spent with my guidance counselor. No offense to any guidance counselors that are overworked and overbooked. I went home and I thought about that for all of about 37 seconds. I thought, artists don't make any money. I've got to do something else. And what popped in my head was graphic design. Graphic designers, they make money. That I could do that. At that time, when I was a senior in high school, I had a friend who was a freshman at Biola University in California. And I was talking to him on the phone, and he says, JD, you got to come to this college. It's so awesome. We have the most amazing beach bonfire parties. And we had some amazing beach bonfire parties. I won't go into details on that. And he says, the girls here are so cute. I'm like, dude, I like that. And I asked the question, do they have a graphics department? And he says, yeah. And I said, dude, I'm in. And that's how much thought went into me picking my career, my major, and the college that I attended. I ended up going to Biola University. And in my junior year of college, I highly recommend this for your student, is get an internship. The unfortunate thing for me is I got that internship at in the middle of my junior year of college, and got an internship at a graphics house and decided I don't want to do this the rest of my life, and had to reset and all that stuff. what I wish I would have done is got that internship while I was still in high school. That would have been the best. And when your student comes in and we are talking about careers and majors, that is one of the things that I'm going to recommend is get an internship or shadow someone while you're still in high school. And we'll talk about the strategy on how to get that internship. So with AZ College Planning, we're going to help your student identify those careers and majors, and then identify the colleges that have those majors. And the whole purpose of this is for your student to graduate college in 4 years or less with the least amount of debt, preferably zero debt, and graduate with a degree that they can immediately go out and get a job and be a productive member of society. There are two main financial aid forms. You've probably heard of at least one of them, and that's the FAFSA form. And the website is studentaid.gov/FAFSA. And it is an acronym, and the acronym stands for Free Application for Federal Student Aid. The second financial aid form is the CSS profile. There are some major differences between the two forms. There are some similarities. The CSS profile asks all the same questions that are on the FAFSA form, and then the CSS profile can ask additional questions. The FAFSA is static. Colleges cannot add or subtract any questions. The CSS profile in the supplemental questions section can ask whatever they want. And one of the questions, MIT requires the CSS profile. And one of the questions in the supplemental section for the CSS profile that MIT asks is, what is your kid's cell phone number? I've got a conspiracy theory for that. Why do you want to know what my kid's phone number is on a financial aid form? If your student is applying to a college like MIT or any other college that is asking for a cell phone number on the financial aid form, please instruct your student to say, I don't know, or 0. Another question that some colleges are asking in the supplemental section is, what's the make, model, and year of your vehicles? JD, why are they asking me that question? Because if you say that you are driving a 2026 Bentley and you're showing that your adjusted gross income is $50,000 or $60,000, they're going to go $60,000 in 26 Bentley. They don't match. And they're going to start asking more questions than that. Another difference between FAFSA and CSS is there is a fee to submit the CSS profile. While the FAFSA, there is no fee to submit it. And as I already mentioned, free application for federal student aid. The fee to submit the FAFSA, the fee to submit the CSS profile is $25 for the first college and $16 for each additional school. So if you apply to 3 colleges, 16 times 2 plus 25 is $57. Okay. CSS profile is administered by College Board. College Board is the same entity that creates the SAT test, PSAT, APs, etc. Now, some families will tell me, we make too much money to qualify for need-based financial aid. Why should we fill out these forms? Well, it's part of the process, and it's part of the game. And what my job is to educate you on the rules of the game. And one of those rules of the game is what's called demonstrated interest, showing the college, hey, I'm interested in your school. And one of many ways to demonstrate interest is to submit the FAFSA and or the CSS profile. Every college is going to ask for the FAFSA form. Some colleges are going to ask for the FAFSA and the CSS profile. I won't tell you the name of the college that requires it. I'll just give you their initials, USC. Okay. Um, USC requires both the FAFSA and the CSS profile, and USC is notorious for rejecting students who do not give USC everything that USC is asking for. And one of those things that USC is asking for is the CSS profile financial aid form. JD, why are they doing that? Why are they asking for that? Because USC wants to know, if we admit your student, can you pay? Can mom and dad pay? So here's a little story about John. When John and his dad came into the office, I helped him identify colleges, showed him how to properly market himself to those colleges. So those colleges said, yes, we need John because of a positive impact on our rankings. We helped him with his essays, all that stuff. We even helped them with their financial aid forms. Now, when John's dad came into the office, he says, we're not going to qualify for any need-based financial aid. Why should we fill out these forms? And I said, it's part of the process. It's another way to demonstrate. Interest. Yes, we should do it. He says, we're not going to get any aid at all. So let me give you a little background on John's dad. He made $1.5 million per year. He had $4 million in his checking account. I'm like, move it somewhere else where you can get more than 0.05% interest. He had another $10 million in a brokerage account. And then he owned several $1 million houses, no mortgage on those. Just a very wealthy family. So based on those numbers, he's correct. We're not going to get any need-based financial aid at any college anywhere. But we assisted him and we submitted the financial aid forms. I don't remember the name of the college. It was one of the two George schools. It was either George Washington University or Georgetown University in Washington, D.C. And that college is predominantly a need-based aid, financial aid school. What need-based aid, financial aid school means is if the college admits the student and the college determines that that student does not qualify for need-based financial aid based on the college's formula, that family is probably going to pay full price to go to that college. Well, the end of the story is John got a half scholarship of about $30,000. And the reason why they gave him that is because they wanted John. Yes, they knew that John would have a positive impact on different categories that the college valued, that was ranked. They liked that. But they also looked at dad and they're like, dad might be a future donor. And they were willing to kick back some cash in scholarships to John in the hopes that dad might be a donor later on. But they also knew that they were going to make it up on the back end with more applications and more application fees. What you need to understand with this whole college admission landscape is that colleges are big business and they're going to do things for business purposes. Wait for it. The number one way to get more money from a college is apply to 6 to 15 colleges and negotiate. The thought is to apply to some reach colleges, some target schools, and some safety colleges. I don't agree with that at all. Because if a student applies to a reach college and is admitted to that reach college, then that family is probably going to pay full price to go to that college. Here's Danielle's story. When Danielle and her parents came in and hired us, I asked the question, have you visited any colleges yet? And they said, no, we haven't. I said, go and visit some colleges. Do that sooner than later. And dad said, oh, and next week we're going to be going down to Tucson for a family vacation. And while we're there, why don't we go and visit University of Arizona? I'm like, yes, that's a great idea. Go do that. So Danielle and her family did that. After she had visited the college, Danielle and I had a conversation. And the conversation Danielle said was, that school's amazing. That's the only school I want to go to. That's the only college I'm going to apply to. So remember what I said earlier. If you don't walk away with the impression of, wow, that school is amazing and I want to go there, they did a bad job. That is their job, is to sell you on their school. And whoever the tour guide is, whoever the recruiter was at that college at that time, did an amazing job. And she says, I'm going to only apply to that college. And I said, please, please, I'm begging, please apply to more than one college. And she agreed. And I can't remember how many schools she applied to, 6 or 7 or 8 colleges or something like that. We knew that she was going to get admitted to U of A because of her grades in that. And she did. In March of her senior year of high school, Danielle's dad calls me up on the phone and says, Danielle was admitted to U of A. Yeah, we knew that. We knew that she was going to get in based on her grades. And Danielle was offered 0 in scholarships. I don't want to pay full price. First thing that you need to understand is some colleges will lowball the aid package. And U of A is notorious for doing that. Dad says she was offered 0 in scholarships. I don't want to pay full price. I don't want to pay $37,000. I don't want to do that. What do I do? And I asked, well, what other colleges was she admitted to? Oh, she was admitted to this college and NAU and that college. I'm like, well, which other colleges gave her money? Oh, this college gave her some scholarship money and NAU gave her some scholarship money. I said, great. Take the NAU award letter, go down to U of A and say, they gave me this. What can you do? If you ask the college if they will negotiate, they will flat out tell you, no, we don't do that. But that is not correct. They will negotiate. And not only did U of A offer her more in scholarships than NAU, they also gave Danielle an iPad. Danielle was really excited about the iPad. Dad was more excited about the scholarships. So here's a few examples of our results. McConnell applied to 9 colleges. He was admitted to all of them. I showed him how to market himself to these colleges, and he had great scholarship packages from multiple schools. NYU wanted him the most and gave him the most advantageous scholarship package, $65,820 in scholarships per year. Parents' net cost, $8,914 per year. Why did NYU give him that aid package? It's because they wanted him. They knew that he would have a positive impact on their rankings, and he did not apply as a theater major. If you look at NYU, 40% of the students that are attending NYU are theater majors. It's a great school for theater. We got too many of those students. We need more diversity of students in other majors and other disciplines. And McConnell applied as a real estate development major, and they looked at that and said, yes, this is what we need. So we add that all together, $263,280 in scholarships over the course of 4 years. What if you took that $260,000 at age 18 and invested until age 65? What would that be? It would be an enormous amount of money. I love to tell this story about Rohit, and I love to ask this question. What is good? Good is being admitted to a college. What is better than that? Better than getting admitted to a college is getting a scholarship at that college. What's better than getting a scholarship at the college? Getting a full tuition scholarship. Now, when you're talking to your friends or neighbors or other students, and they tell you that they received a full ride at any of the Arizona state schools, ASU, NAU, or U of A, be very, very skeptical. What they probably got is full tuition, which is about $15,000. And if we subtract $15,000 from the 36,000, 37, or maybe even 39 if they're going to the honors college, that's still a chunk of change that needs to be paid somehow. What's better than getting a full tuition scholarship? Of course, the full ride. And the full ride covers everything: tuition, room and board, meal plan, books, all of that. The only thing that full ride does not cover is transportation. Paying paying for your kid to either fly to that college or drive to that college or take a bus or a train, that's not covered under the full ride. What's better than a full ride? This example right here. And I'll read it to you. All tuition and mandatory fees for 4 years, $4,000 per semester cash stipend, $1,500 per semester on-campus housing stipend, and an up to $6,000 one-time award for international study abroad. If you add all of that together and subtract it from the cost of attendance, the student was getting paid $3,000 per year to go to college. What's better than getting a full ride? Of course, getting paid to go to college. Does this happen? Yes, it does. And if that is something that your student is aspiring to earn, please talk to me and we'll talk about some strategies on how to do that. Here's a couple more examples. Nicole was admitted to WashU, $45,000 per year. Parents' net cost 11 grand. Multiply that times 4 years is $181,000 that she was offered. Nicole's example is an example of a student who did the work, was coachable, followed through, and got the amazing results. Here's Bruce. Bruce was admitted to Notre Dame, and he was offered $51,016 in scholarship per year. Dad's net cost was $13,000. Now, Dad said that he thought that my tagline, "It could be cheaper to go to an out-of-state college than to attend an in-state college," was just a sales pitch until we did it for his son. And Bruce got that all 4 years of going to Notre Dame. In fact, it did cover a study abroad that he took advantage of, which was super amazing. Then we did it again for Bruce's sister, Adele. She went to TCU. She got $216,820 in scholarships over 4 years. She's another example of a student who did the work, was coachable, and followed through and got some amazing results. But JD, are all of these students super brainiacs that have 4.0 GPAs and have 1,600 perfect SAT scores or perfect 36 ACT scores? No. Here's an example. And her initial is L. She applied to Spring Hill College in Alabama, and it was less expensive for her to go to this college in Alabama than it would have been for her to go to ASU. And she had a 2.3 GPA. She did check off the box on some other categories that this college valued, and those things gave her a strong scholarship at this school. You don't have to have perfect grades or perfect test scores. You just need to target the right colleges. And that's where we at azcollegeplanning.com can help out with that. What about military academies? Yes, we can help out with that as well. And I love this story about Tanner. When Tanner came into the office, he says, "JD, my dream is to fly jets for the Air Force, and I'm going to only apply to the Air Force Academy." And I said, "Please apply to all the military academies and every ROTC program and have a backup plan." And Tanner agreed to that. He did all those things. A little while later, he came in and he says, "JD, I've been doing some research on the Air Force's website, and the minimum ACT score is 24. I got a 25. What do you think?" I said, "Tanner, they're going to take your application and they're going to throw it in the trash because your score is just barely above the minimum." He's like, "Oh, really?" Yes. So we plugged him into our program, and our program is called Beat the Test. In the Beat the Test program, we help students identify patterns, and then we show these students how to properly study for these tests. The end result is Tanner got a 29 on his ACT score, outstanding, and he got admitted to the Merchant Marine Academy in Kings Point, New York. And when he graduated from the Merchant Marine Academy, they were handing out assignments and they're like, Tanner, where do you want to go? And he says, Air Force. And he ended up getting it, going into the Air Force, flying jets for the Air Force and all that stuff. Super exciting. I love to tell a story about Jonathan. When Jonathan and his family came in, we helped Jonathan apply to a handful of colleges, and it came down to George Fox University in the Portland, Oregon area, and that kind of rose to the top as a best fit college for Jonathan. Also, the most advantageous scholarship package. And Jonathan and his parents had a roundtable conversation, and Jonathan's parents said, "We are willing to pay for you to go to college, Jonathan, a certain dollar amount, this much, nothing above that. Anything above that, that's going to be on you. Get a scholarship, get a grant, sell a kidney, whatever, that's going to be on you." So based on the scholarships and grants that George Fox University offered Jonathan, minus the amount of money the parents were willing to spend for college, we were $5,000 short. And Jonathan says, I've got an idea. I'll call the college and I will defer admission. And yes, you could do that for almost every college, defer admission. With that, you would fill out the deferral form and the college will hold your spot for 1 year and you could attend a year later. Jonathan says, I'll defer admission. I'll go get a job. I'll save up $5,000 and then I'll go to school the next year. I'm like, what are you going to do? Work a year, go to school a year, work a year, go to school for a year, take 8 years to graduate? No. Here's what I'd like you to do, Jonathan. I'd like you to call the college on the phone and speak with your admissions recruiter. You know who your admissions recruiter is, right, Jonathan? Now I'm asking him loaded questions because I had already instructed him on how to find who his recruiter was. Oh, yeah, I know who that is. Call them up on the phone, and I want you to say this. Thank you very much for admitting me and for giving me some scholarships. My parents are willing to spend a certain amount for me to go to college. Based on what you've given me in scholarships and what my parents are willing to spend, I'm short $5,000. What can I do? And poof, magically another $5,000 appeared. Jonathan went to George Fox and he graduated in 4 years, not 8. Cole went to La Tech, got 100% of tuition plus extra, a little bit extra that covered part of his dorm. Chad got admitted to Vandy, and Vanderbilt offered him $231,088 in scholarships for 4 years. When Chad and his mom came into the office and I helped Chad create a list of colleges, I suggested to Chad, hey, you should take a look at Vandy. And mom pulls me aside, says, no, please don't tell him to get to apply to Vanderbilt because if he's admitted, and he'll probably get admitted, we can't afford it. I said, play the game. The end result is Chad got this amazing scholarship package, and parents' net cost was $5,000 per year for Chad to go to Vandy. And I got a very nice email from Chad's mom after that. Trevor went to TCU, $212,000. This is another example of a student who did the work, was coachable, and followed through and got these amazing results. And he graduated 100% debt-free. And I'm also really excited to report that through the career office at the college, he got several internships and landed a job in Denver, Colorado at a financial firm, making some really great money right out of college. Super excited for him. And he graduated 100% debt-free. Here's another student, went to NAU, graduated 100% debt-free. This is exactly where we want our kids to be when they graduate? Zero debt or as low debt as possible. Another example, Jared got admitted to IIT in Illinois, $39,000 in scholarships per year, $159,600 in scholarships over the course of 4 years. It was less expensive for him to go to this private out-of-state college than it would have been for him to go to in-state. And I literally have hundreds more of examples like this. Here's another one, Loyola Chicago. Initially, they gave the student $28,000 per year. We appealed, and they ended up giving an extra $2,000. Again, will the colleges appeal? They'll tell you no, we don't negotiate. But we ended up getting $2,000, $2,000, $4,000, $6,000, $8,000 more over the course of 4 years. Amazing. I want to help tell your student success story. And this is how we'll do it. We have initially the services that we're going to provide is we're going to meet with your student one-on-one, and we'll help by offering these personalized one-on-one meetings, personalized, compassionate guidance with and motivate your student so that your student stays on track and is confident in their college journey. We also have parent meetings. The parent meetings, we're on the financial side, talking to you about some financial ideas on how to maximize all of that stuff. And then we also host a variety of different classes. I already mentioned the Beat the Test class. We have a How to Study class. We have the Influencer Marketing class. And the Influencer Marketing class is coming up again sometime in March. The reason why it's going to be in March is because right after this influencer class is going to be the college fair. Please go to the college fair. It's sometime in late March or early April. In the influencer class, I'm going to talk about when you go to the college fair, here's the questions you ask the admissions recruiter. Here's how you follow up with the admissions recruiter. Here's how you develop rapport with the admissions recruiter. That is an important step because it will be the admissions recruiter or the admissions recruiter and a panel of people that make the decision. Do we admit you? Do we give you some scholarships? And the human psychology is if they know you and they like you, the probability of admission and scholarships goes up. So we'll instruct your student on how to maximize that. We also have a resume class. We have an essay class and an application class and a couple other parent classes. If you'd like to come in for a complimentary, no obligation college consultation, please click on the link that's in here. It's going to be emailed or texted to you. You can also email me directly, jd@azcollegeplanning.com, and say, I'd like a free consultation. And please include your phone number, and I will give you a call, and we'll synchronize our calendars and put something on, create a date and put something on the calendar. Please include a phone number that you can be reached at during the day. Here's another example that I got from Noah. And it was a text message from him, and I'll read it to you. I got into Georgia Tech. Thank you. Thank you for the 10-week plan you gave me. It helped me get into my dream school, which means a ton. I'll be attending Georgia Tech in the fall, and I got $32,000 a year. It was the best aid offer I got outside of ASU. And we literally get hundreds of these. And I have literally hundreds more of examples to show you with that. So if you'd like a free complimentary consultation, please send me an email or click on the link that you're going to be emailed or text. And we've been doing this since 2007. You only get one shot to get this right. Don't leave it to chance. We are the nation's leading experts in admission and financial aid and guiding families with proven results since 2007. Again, if you'd like a complimentary consultation, please email me, jd@azcollegeplanning.com, and include your phone number, and I'll be happy to call you and put something on the calendar. Here's my big sales pitch. Tell your friends about azcollegeplanning.com. If you do have any questions that I haven't addressed, please feel free to send me an email, jd@azcollegeplanning.com. I'll be happy to send you reply to your questions. Thank you very much and have a wonderful evening and a great weekend. And we'll talk to you later. I wish your student the very best of college success.